Okay, I think we're good to start now. So firstly, a very happy welcome to everyone. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. So what we're going to talk about today is what you see on the screen, CX equals EX, the new equation for call or contact center success, and I suppose powering marketing and communications. My name is Rob Henley. I'm the head of product marketing at Solgari. We're the Dynamics 365 all-channel communication solution, so we provide voice, video, SMS, and also that cloud contact center functionality, and we're obviously deeply integrated with Microsoft as well. My colleague and partner Keegan Stanton will be also joining us for the presentation today. She's the head of marketing programs at Simple. Simple are your complete command center for marketing, incorporating marketing resource management, digital asset management, and also local area marketing management. So you're going to get a good idea of both of our solutions today in this call, and we'll always bring it back, or in this webinar, and we'll bring it back to the customer use cases where possible. So that's my introduction. I'm going to hand over to Keegan here at this point to give you an overview of the agenda.
Thank you, Rob, and welcome everybody. As Rob said, my name's Keegan Stanton. I'm head of marketing programs at Simple, the command center for marketing and communications. So on today's agenda, we will start the session by setting the scene, looking specifically at how contact centers have evolved from the inbound phone calls to more multi-channel communications and also customer self-service. We'll then go on to talk about how critical the human element of a customer journey is and how you can empower your agents through approved marketing assets. We'll be looking into the best practices for contact centers, specifically around the use of data to predict customer behaviour, to deliver consistent messaging into the market, and how operational efficiency can be enhanced through technology. Then finally, the presentation moves on to how to get the most out of marketing with your contact centres to deliver that exceptional customer experience. And we'll end the session on a very quick solution demo. So as you can see, we've got a lot to cram into 30 minutes. So I'll hand back over to Rob to discuss the not so new normal in customer service.
Great. Thanks very much, Keegan, for giving that overview. Yeah, so I suppose let's start with the title, the not so new normal of customer service. About 12 months ago, we were all using the phrase the new normal. But what we're actually going to look at here today is more so the agent side of things. And as you can see up there at the top with regards to Frost & Sullivan, 50% of call center or contact center staff now work from home. And that's not really a new, while it was kind of enhanced or sped up because of COVID, it actually has been a trend that's been happening long before that. And I suppose what we're going to talk about today is the agent experience, how important it is to, I suppose, empower those agents, because there is a change in landscape for customer service, for sales, and for marketing. So what it means is that now more than ever, there's a need for more agile, more flexible systems that are delivered in the cloud and that are available anywhere. Another stat actually that I think is very interesting, another statistic, is around customer service leaders. And they say that 74% of them say that they don't empower their agents enough to deliver the right customer service with the best tools. So that is very much what we're going to focus on today. And one way to do that, one very important part of empowering those agents is making sure that they have the knowledge, so access to the messaging, the CRM data, or whatever it is they need, and then the tools to actually deliver that customer service and sales experience that you would expect for a really innovative solution or organization. And then the ability then to maintain and advance the customer interaction seamlessly. So let's take Mary there, for example, in the bottom right-hand corner. She's obviously working from home across multiple channels. And so from her perspective, she needs to be able to access those channels, access the customer data in a secure, compliant way, and then be able to communicate over voice, SMS, and even maybe third-party channels. So that's a very important thing for her. On top of that then, she needs to have the context of each communication, and that communication context needs to be the same no matter what channel they're coming on. So for instance, if they come in from a certain queue, she needs to be able to see that information. She also needs all the customer details, so if that can be complemented by the CRM. And there's lots of other cues that she can get to really help her deal with that customer more effectively. Then on top of that, within those communications, she needs to have access to the functionality or the features that allows her to, I suppose, deal with that customer as efficiently as possible, and where possible have a first contact resolution. So that kind of functionality that we talk about there is things like PCI DSS compliant payment process, so an IVR where you can transfer the call through, take the payments all compliantly, all on using Solgari. Also the ability to look up information in the CRM or check the messaging on the latest marketing campaign and lots more. And then of course at the end of all those communications, to keep her safe and to keep the organization safe, all of those communications need to be recorded and compliant. But also then you've got all that data from all those communications which is stored within that contact record, available in the CRM or available in Microsoft, so that you can then have that for future reference, future communications with that customer. So it's really important that we empower that agent in the not so new normal around customer service, sales, and particularly in relation to work from home. So I'll pass you over to Keegan now, who's going to look at another aspect of this.
Thank you, Rob. So as Rob highlighted, with the right systems in place, inbound call centre queries can be handled quickly, easily, with a first-time resolution, which is exactly the customer experience that we're all looking for. And this can be done across multiple channels to ensure that the customer engages with the channel that they feel most comfortable with. However, we all know that age-old saying that people buy from people. And as you can see on the slide here, we're talking about the importance of human interaction within the customer journey in and around those digital channels. And there's simply no replacement for having a human involved in this journey. So as Rob mentioned, it's key we empower your contact center agents as the first line of support to your customers to deliver a customer experience that is consistent and exceptional. Now, just to draw your attention to the quote in the top right corner, Microsoft have found that 66% of customers use on average 3 communication channels, which is fabulous when you've given your contact center the tools to be able to access those channels. However, a little story, what happens if each channel is being managed by a different agent or a different department? And my question is that customer always receiving the same level of service no matter who they speak to? So to give this some real world context, I'll provide a scenario that I expect most of us will have experienced at some point. On the right hand side there, we've got Jan, and she's currently on the phone speaking to her local contact centre about her insurance renewal options. She's heard from one of her friends that there's a really great deal on currently. So she phones in via voice to the contact centre and speaks to an agent asking about the reduced premiums. But the agent actually says, unfortunately, Jan, this is for new customers, not existing. So she provides the standard renewal pricing to Jan. Following the call, Jan feels it's a bit unfair. She's been a loyal customer for years and she would have hoped that she would have access to these similar promotions. So she decides to raise the issue, sort of make a complaint on the website, and she does this through the chatbot. Now, as soon as she interacts with the chatbot and asks for her renewal options, it automates a document that has actually pulled in the lower renewal pricing for her, which she'd obviously been told on the phone minutes before wasn't an option for an existing customer. Now, this is because there was the marketing campaign initiative had extended the offer to new and existing customers. But unfortunately, at some point in the chain, there was a breakdown in communication and Jan simply wasn't aware of this, which obviously led to the not great situation of the customer being confused. She got the resolution in the end, but it wasn't the best customer experience. So in terms of what's missing from all this, in order for this exceptional experience to work across channels and across departments, there needs to be tools which provide full visibility and access to marketing materials for all agents at every stage of the customer journey, to ensure that the customer receives the same offers and service. The second thing that's missing is the ability for the leadership team to actually manage and control all of these communications so that they are comfortable in knowing exactly what messages are reaching the end customer, regardless of who picks up the request and over what channel. So just to reiterate, the importance of the human interaction in the customer journey is key, but we have to enable those humans to be able to deliver the most up-to-date materials in the same way that a bot or an automated workflow would. Back over to Rob to talk about the best practices.
Yeah, so look, taking a step back from that, and I suppose we were very much focused on the customer experience and the agent experience there, but look at it from let's say, a wider view and also from an organizational perspective. And we've looked at three different elements to look at here with regards to predicting the future, managing consistency, and operational efficiency. So looking at predicting the future first, I think a big indicator of the future is what customers are doing in the past. And as you've seen previously in Keegan's slide, 66% of customers use on average 3 communication channels to connect with customer service. So that is a trend that is more likely to increase than decrease. And as we always see from a communications perspective, customers dictate the communications and the interactions they want to have with you as an organization. So it's important when you're predicting the future or when you're looking to the future that you're taking that into consideration, because their behaviors are what should drive your product roadmap. It should drive your functionality that you offer to them in customer service, sales, and beyond. Of course, then on top of that, then we've now got a lot more access to better data and insights, and that can play a major role in the future of effective contact centers and communications with your customers. That will all be enabled by AI for things like sentiment analysis and lots more beyond that to better serve and then sell to your customers within your organization. And that's all enabled by the likes of Microsoft ISVs like Simple and Solgari, but of course it's fully enabled by Microsoft's own capabilities as well.
Great, thanks Rob. So moving forward to messaging consistency in the centre, as Rob mentioned, we need to use the data to predict customer behaviour. And once we know which channels customers are using and where that demand is, we can ensure that we have the right messaging, the consistent message to push out to each of these channels. So I touched upon the last slide, the ability for the agents to provide the consistent messaging. Firstly, the example I gave was around awareness of new initiatives, but this actually goes a bit broader than just ensuring that the right initiatives are communicated. It actually moves more into the regulatory compliance space also, because particularly pertinent for the insurance industry, as you all know, there are a lot of legal requirements that you have to comply with in a lot of your all your communications going out to customers. If they aren't governed in some way, then that's a huge risk to your business. You need to have your leadership team having oversight of the message consistency, of the message going out to ensure that you've got that legal compliance. And then thirdly, we also have the scenario of creating custodians for your brand across the business and the organisation. The power of a brand, we all know it can influence customer acquisition, retention, partnerships and advocacy and loyalty. So it's a huge part of our business strategy. But we can't achieve all these great things if there's not a consistent brand message coming through to the public, a message that promotes the right organisational values, tone, targets the right audience, has the right imagery in place, that sort of thing. Anything less than a gold standard can actually cheapen your brand equity, and it potentially changes the view of how a customer will see your business. So part of the challenge is not only to ensure that we've got the consistent messaging and offers going out to customers, but also to adhere to compliance regulations that we need to adhere to within our messaging, and to ensure that our brand guidelines are met. But all the whilst delivering this to agents so that they can push out these comms at speed, and it's all been taken care of through approval workflows in head office before it's pushed to the team. So that takes me nicely actually onto operational efficiency. I mentioned their workflows. So as part of the tools that Simple and Solgari offer, there's automated workflows to ensure that compliance is met in terms of the messaging, in terms of your call recordings. But then also it's about, as I mentioned, empowering agents to deliver at speed, giving them access to the latest materials so that when they get an inbound query, on that first time resolution, they can grab the right assets, send it out, and comfortable, reassured that it's been approved by business leaders.
Yeah, and then just to add to Keegan's point there, particularly from a contact center perspective, inside of all of this, underpinned or preceded by that consistent messaging across your channels, you also have the opportunity for massive efficiencies across, scalability in your contact center, adding agents, decreasing agents, adding layers of automation around your communication, so self-service, outbound dialing campaigns. So there's actually endless opportunities for operational efficiency as a result of this more coherent approach to your marketing and communications.
Thank you, Rob. So now we'll just touch on this slide at a high level. It's all about getting the most out of marketing and communications within your contact centres. So if we go from the left to the right, it's sort of the flow from Simple into Solgari and then into that audit trail that the business needs for their reporting. So starting on the left, we have the marketing strategy. As Rob mentioned, it must align with your customer behaviour. It must align with the business goals and objectives. So Simple allows a central view of the marketing initiatives. And then within that, it also helps with the management and production of assets through the campaign execution elements of the tool, whereby you are able to assign jobs for specific campaigns, both internally and externally, to get that execution piece right. Add in your layers of approval workflows to ensure that it's been signed off from leadership before it goes out to market. Now, the next step in the journey is that key distribution of the marketing collateral that's been approved. So in this step, it will be a case of taking those approved materials to your existing MarTech solutions, for example, to push things out on social or the different avenues that you want to. Or, of course, leveraging the capabilities of Solgari's all-channel platform to push out those communications through, email or SMS, broadcast SMS. But I won't steal the thunder. I'll let Rob go in and explain that part.
Yeah, and so just kind of moving nicely on from what Keegan was saying there around your marketing strategy, campaign execution and the distribution, what we can then add is that layer of communication capability or channel capability. That could be both your live agent perspective, where you've got your live agents with most up-to-date messaging around marketing, etc., sitting at home or sitting anywhere in the world, but within our cloud contact center capabilities and all inside the CRM potentially. But it can also be supported by a layer of automation, as mentioned. So that could be outbound SMS campaigns. It could be outbound dialer campaigns where you're improving the efficiency of maybe outbound sales teams. So there's lots of opportunities then to implement that higher quality customer interaction using our channel capabilities. And of course then you've got that scalability that you need to respond to maybe increased demand or to, whether it's customer service or sales, or to just increase it to try and up your volumes from a sales or customer service perspective. And then as Keegan mentioned, it's very important that you then have that audit trail, whether it's within Dynamics 365 or Microsoft or within our cloud contact center, to have that audit trail so that you have all your compliance ticked off. You have all your call recording then for, beyond compliance, you also have it for things like improving customer service processes, using sentiment analysis and more. And this makes it a lot more ideal or a lot better for your organization to put better processes in place around audits. So what you're actually looking at here in front of you is a combined, complete marketing and cloud communication stack, providing more effective, consistent and compliant communications, all underpinned or all enabled by the Microsoft ecosystem. So it's a very, very strong marketing and contact center combination.
Great, thank you, Rob. So this is the part of the session where we're just going to move into the solution demos, and then afterwards we will take some questions and answers. So just as a quick reminder, Simple's the complete marketing command center. It helps marketing leaders be able to see everything that's going on within their marketing operations. They can manage resources, budgets, assets, campaigns, and jobs. And it's all, the key thing that underpins it is about getting those approved and compliant materials out to your agents and customers at speed. So I'm just going to very quickly start off this demo. So this is Simple MRM. As you can see, it's got the look and the feel of Dynamics 365. So in terms of change management, it's a shorter learning curve for organizations that are already using Dynamics. On this screen, we have the strategic initiative. So it's that key strategy input at the start of any campaign. This is where we can enter the overarching theme or pillars to ensure that everyone in the business understands the purpose of the campaign and how it links up to the business goals. You can see here we have a financial section also, so we can add in the budgets required, and every campaign that sits within this initiative will feed into that overarching financials tab, so we can really see how much the initiative costs the business and the ROI. Here we've now jumped into the brief aspect of the initiative. So this is where we can ensure that everybody in the team has clarity over what the ask is. A really key thing to reflect back on as well later for the ROI. We've jumped now into our campaigns Kanban dashboard, which shows the status of all the campaigns, whether they're in market or out of market. And it's, a real-time view for your leaders to see exactly where everything's at. Once we jump into the main campaign itself, that sits within the initiative, this is where we can then add those critical next steps in terms of looking at the approval process flow. There's 2 levels of approvals there. Number 1 would probably be your marketing leader looking to firm up the messaging. Number 2 would be your finance or legal team to make sure that it's got that key compliant messaging within there as well. And moving swiftly into the job section, we will, with any campaign, we have this overview screen, and then the jobs feed into the campaign. It's effectively how you assign your different roles across the business for everything that needs to be completed. The great thing about this is you can actually assign a job to an agency or partner external to your business. So you can work collaboratively through the simple tool and see the status of the job no matter who's assigned to it. As you can see as well, we have, the different job names in there. It's very quick and easy to plan and create the jobs. And we have the progress bar and any dependencies that job relies upon. In this example, we have the job owner that's already been entered, but no one has actually been assigned this task. So when it comes to assigning, you can assign by role. With this one, it's a logo task, so a graphic design is ideal. Or you can actually filter by skills, which means you are bringing the right resource in to do that job for that campaign at the right time. So it's a really great way of tracking everything, all your resources, internal and external to the business. So now we are just saving that job through, and we're just going to jump into the job screen so that you can see exactly what that part looks like. In the center there, we have the job checklist. So everything that needs to be completed as part of the job will be listed in there. Again, anyone in the business can jump in to access that and see what progress has been made. In the Assets tab, this will show any versions of assets that have been worked on. Here we have a version 2 asset. It does store that history. You can also have the markup functionality to directly edit those assets in real time. In this version, we can see that the approval has been completed. The job is ready to go out. So now it would be a case of saying, yes, we've got that asset, it's all approved. Now we need to access those MarTech channels or the All Channels communications platform by Solgari to start pushing out the assets that have been approved and finalized. Now, before we come to the end of the demo, it's critical to show you our dashboard functionality. So, of course, with any campaign, you would want those key reports and statistics. It's a performance overview. You need to measure and monitor every budget spent and every initiative that you're running to ensure that you have that critical ROI back for the time spent. And in this example, we can see that the golden hour shopping campaign was much more effective than the digital banking campaign, and the ROI figures are highlighted in green below on the table to make this really clear. So you can do more of the marketing that works, that brings your business results. And then the final dashboard to show you today is our approval dashboard. So this allows you to manage that internal approval flow and ensure there aren't any bottlenecks. So in the screen here, you can see that Keegan Stanton on the top left graph has a lot of approvals outstanding, whereas Maya has no approvals outstanding. Effectively, you can manage that and you can reschedule those approvals as you see fit. So that is the Simple platform. Thank you for watching for that part. And now we will move on to the Solgari platform.
Great. Thanks very much for that, Keegan. Very interesting, very insightful. So just to come on to the Solgari side of things, and this will be very short, but just to reiterate as well, what Solgari brings to the table. And, we've went to the title there, making every interaction count, whether it's live or automated. And I suppose the reason we say that is because what we do is we provide intelligent, compliant, all-channel communications, no matter what channels you want as an organization, on top of our advanced automation capabilities, which allows you to set up self-service journeys and lots more. And it's all fully integrated with Dynamics 365 in the Power Platform, and there's lots of other touch points with Microsoft. And all of this then in turn leads to more efficiency and effectiveness, improves your compliance, empowers your agents, which we're going to look at now, and then of course it in turn delights your customers. So if we actually look at this video, if you just flick on, Keegan, this is actually going to look at it from an agent perspective, and I want to just kind of highlight that. Obviously there's lots we can show you, but what I wanted to show you is how nice the experience is to use Solgari Converse, which is our application that runs inside Dynamics 365, which essentially powers all channel communications. So quickly, this is literally a 2-minute video, so it'll work out well. So as I said, powering flexible, integrated all-channel communications. So this is actually what it looks like for the agent. You're sitting inside Dynamics 365 within any model-driven app that works within Dynamics 365. And what you have here is a really feature-rich endpoint that is fully integrated with the CRM. So as you can see here on the right-hand side, we're driving those inbound communications. It can be outbound as well from different numbers, calling into your different numbers. And what we do then is we create a screen pop for Dynamics 365 where you can actually see all that customer information. And then what you have as an agent is you have access to lots of functionality within the call. So you can transfer, payments, IVRs, lots of things like that. You can also then, as an agent, quickly initiate an outbound call, in this case, presenting a local number. And as part of our service, we're also a carrier, so we can provide an outbound, we can provide all the numbers globally and SMS, carry the SMS traffic globally as well. And that means that we can do lots of intelligent things around your cloud contact center, like routing to specific queues based upon where they're calling from. And as you can see here, relating to the audit trail, what you have is that all of that information is stored within Dynamics 365 on the Microsoft, on Azure essentially, so that you have all of those communications in one place, a record of them. And what you'll see here on the right-hand side is that, as we mentioned, you can offer whatever channel it is that you need. So whether it's voice, SMS, WhatsApp, WeChat, Facebook Messenger, that can all be integrated into this endpoint so that you can effectively communicate with your customers over whatever channel suits them. And then, this empowers the agent then to provide a better service, do better customer service or be better at sales. And we take care of all of that communications side of things. So it's a very, very powerful user experience for the agent, which in turn improves the customer experience, which is the whole topic of today. And of course, what we're looking at here is just the agent facing or the agent side of things and a little bit of the customer experience. But in a further demo, if we wanted to, we can go into the cloud contact center, how easy it is to manage that from anywhere as well, so that you can actually have full control over your cloud communications. So that's just a really, really quick snapshot of our solution in action. If you want to share the presentation for the last, we'll be finished in 60 seconds. We'll get this finished.
Great, thank you, Rob, and apologies again for the difficulties there. This is a summary, just cover what we've already spoken about. Effectively, when you are providing materials to your call center staff, you need to be able to arm them with the assets that are up to date and that are in market. You also need to provide visibility and control of this to your leadership team, which is where Simple comes in. Once these assets are in place, they can then be distributed through the Solgari all-channel platform, both solutions tie nicely into your Dynamics 365 environment or Microsoft Teams to ensure that those assets, recordings, everything is available to agents and head office as it's needed. All of these things jointly will deliver an excellent customer experience, which is seamless, with the same information going out to your customers, which is accessible quickly and easily for those first-time resolutions. So this brings us to the end of our session. Rob is manning the question and answers section. So if you do have any questions, please pop them into the chat now, and Rob will let us know what they are.
We actually did get one question. We have only got two, but I think we'll only get a chance to answer one. If we use this, I presume it means Simple, to assign jobs to our partners or to external agencies, do they need to have a license as well?
Thank you, Rob. That's a really great question. So Simple as a product, we're constantly evolving the product, evolving it so that we can, build new functionality as it's needed. This was actually a recent feature called the follower feature. So you can add an external agency or partner into the campaign as a follower. So they will view everything they need to within the campaign, and you'll be able to assign tasks to them through that. And they don't need the Simple license for that. So it becomes an internal and an external management portal for your marketing. Great. Well, that then takes us on to the end slide. Rob, over to you.
Yeah, so just firstly, thank you very much to everybody for attending. As you can see on the screen, there's our contact info. What we would ask you to do is, if you want to find out more, we've given you a whistle-stop tour of Solgari Simple and how we work with Microsoft. But definitely a really good next action or next step will be to book a full demo with us. So you get to know a little bit more about our solution and, more importantly, how it could help your organization. So please do feel free to reach out to either of us and we can set that up. And of course, we have a white paper. I think most attendees have already downloaded, but if you haven't, please feel free to download our CX equals EX white paper. It just goes into a bit more detail on what we spoke about today, and it might give you some nice helpful insights for your own contact center and your own organization. But certainly I would recommend that get in touch. Let's book some time, 30 minutes or an hour to go through the solution, find out a bit more about your own use case or your own industry stories and how we can actually help you with those. So that'll be from me. I just want to thank everybody for attending. Hope you found this really, really interesting. Really appreciate the support from our partner in Simple, and obviously from Microsoft in supporting us on that. So just on Solgari's behalf, I just want to thank you very much for your attendance and looking forward to speaking to you all soon.
Thank you, Rob. And to echo that, also thank you everybody from Simple. Thank you for Microsoft for supporting this initiative. And yes, please do get in touch with us for a bespoke demonstration that will be relevant to your business needs. Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care.